Let me tell you something real. Life isn't fair and no one's coming to save you. If you allow people to walk over you, they will. Not because they're evil, because you allowed it. This world respects power. It respects confidence. It respects people who look others in the eye and say, "Not today, not me." You think being polite and quiet will earn you respect? Wake up. Being nice without strength is weakness. Being passive won't get you loyalty. It gets you used. If someone disrespects you once and you let it slide, congratulations, you've just taught them how to treat you. You're not here to be everyone's doormat. You're not on this earth to apologize for existing. You have a voice, use it. You have boundaries, defend them. You have value, act like it. Stop being scared to say no. Stop being afraid of confrontation. If something doesn't feel right, call it out. If someone crosses the line, push back. This isn't about being aggressive. It's about being unshakable. Being someone who others can't manipulate. That's power. You don't rise by lowering your standards. You rise by knowing your worth and refusing to accept anything less. Remember, the lion doesn't ask permission to roar. Neither should you. Don't let anyone walk over you. Not your boss, not your partner, not your so-called friends. Stand up. Speak up. Take control. Because if you don't respect yourself, no one else will. Too many people confuse self-respect with arrogance. They think standing tall, having standards, or refusing to be treated poorly makes you full of yourself. Let me make something absolutely clear. There's a massive difference between arrogance and knowing your worth. Arrogance is pretending you're better than everyone else. Self-respect is simply understanding that you're not beneath anyone. In a world that constantly tries to pull you down, belittle your ambition, or make you second-guess your value, self-respect isn't just important, it's survival. It's the armor you wear when others try to take advantage of your kindness. It's the voice inside your head that says, "I deserve better," when the world tells you to settle. If you don't build this internal strength, people will walk all over you without guilt because you allowed it. Society has conditioned people to believe that putting yourself first is selfish. No, putting yourself only is selfish. But valuing yourself, that's wisdom. That's strength. You can be kind and still have boundaries. You can help others and still say no when something violates your peace. You're not here to be a servant to everyone's expectations. You're here to build a life that makes you proud. Most people get walked on because they're scared to be disliked. They think saying no or speaking up will make people uncomfortable. And yes, it will, especially the ones who benefited from your silence. But here's the truth. The right people will respect your boundaries. The wrong ones will be offended by them. Either way, your job isn't to make everyone happy. Your job is to stay true to yourself. And if someone tells you you've changed, just smile. You were never meant to stay the version of yourself that accepted less. Growth demands change. Strength demands evolution. And no, you don't owe anyone an explanation for that. The moment you stop begging for approval is the moment you start living on your terms. That's not arrogance. That's survival. That's power. Because the second you compromise yourself, respect to keep people around, you're no longer leading your life. They are. You're not the main character anymore. You're a background actor in someone else's story. Self-respect means you walk away from situations that make you feel small, even if it's uncomfortable. It means you raise your standards, even if it means standing alone for a while. It means you'd rather lose people than lose yourself. And that kind of strength terrifies the weak, but it empowers the strong. So next time you're afraid of being too much or too direct, remember this. People who benefit from your weakness will always call your strength arrogance. Let them talk. Let them misunderstand you. That's not your burden. You weren't made to be understood by everyone. You were made to respect yourself unapologetically. And the moment you do, everything in your life starts to change. You attract better friends, better opportunities, better energy, because the world mirrors how you treat yourself. So stand up straight, speak like you mean it, walk like your name carries weight, because it does. That's not arrogance. That's survival. If you've ever wondered why certain people keep disrespecting you, why others take advantage of your time, kindness, or energy, here's the hard truth. Because you allowed it. People only treat you the way you permit them to. It's not always about how cruel or selfish others are. Sometimes it's about how silent you've been when you should have spoken up. It's about how many chances you gave when someone didn't even deserve a second one. It's about how many times you stayed quiet to keep the peace when someone repeatedly disturbed your inner peace. Let that sink in. Every time you ignore a red flag, you give it permission to turn into a pattern. Every time you stay in a toxic environment because it's easier than confrontation. You teach others that your boundaries are negotiable. You're not just allowing the mistreatment. You're training people how to mistreat you. You might think keeping the peace is noble, but peace without self-respect is slavery. It's handing your power over to people who have no business holding it. You're not doing anyone a favor by letting things slide. All you're doing is digging a hole where your confidence used to be. People aren't mind readers. If you don't clearly set the standard for how you expect to be treated, someone else will decide that standard for you, and it will always be lower than you deserve. Respect isn't given, it's earned. But the twist is, you set the price. If you make it cheap by tolerating disrespect, people will keep paying the bare minimum to be in your life. You need to raise that price. Let them know it costs effort, honesty, and consistency to access your energy. If they're not willing to meet that price, let them walk away. It's better to have a few people who value you than a crowd that uses you. The way you allow people to treat you sends a message, not just to them, but to yourself. If you don't demand respect, your mind starts to believe you're not worthy of it. That belief will leak into everything. Your career, your relationships, your decisions. But the moment you take control and raise your standards, something shifts. You walk differently. You speak with more purpose. And others feel it. People begin to notice that you're not easily manipulated, not easily guilt-tripped, and definitely not someone to be walked on. This isn't about being rude. It's about being clear. It's about knowing that kindness doesn't mean compliance. Being compassionate doesn't mean being blind to manipulation. You can be warm without being weak. You can be firm without being cruel. That's real strength. That's leadership. So if someone treats you like you don't matter, don't argue, remove them. If someone repeatedly crosses your boundaries, don't beg for change, walk away. You're not on this earth to constantly explain why you deserve basic decency. The right people won't need a manual on how to respect you. They'll just do. Remember, every time you say yes to something that disrespects you, you say no to your self-worth. And nothing is worth sacrificing that. So draw the line, hold the line, and never apologize for it. Because the world watches how you treat yourself. If you let others walk over you, you'll stay on the floor. But if you stand tall and make it clear that your respect isn't up for negotiation, everything changes. Confidence isn't something you're born with, it's something you build. No one comes into this world completely sure of themselves. That belief, that certainty, that unshakable presence people admire, it's crafted, earned, and sharpened through action. Confidence is a skill. Just like lifting weights builds your body, taking risks and stepping up when you're uncomfortable builds your confidence. And just like a muscle, if you don't use it, it weakens. The biggest lie most people believe is that confidence belongs to the lucky few. No. Confidence belongs to those who show up every day and do the hard things, especially when they don't feel like it. The ones who speak up when their voice shakes, who take action while their hands tremble, who keep moving forward when doubt screams in their ear. You think those people were fearless? No. They were just committed to becoming someone stronger than their fear. Every time you avoid doing something because you don't feel confident, you reinforce your own limitations. You train your brain to believe you're not capable, not enough, not ready. But every time you face discomfort head on, even in small doses, you expand. You teach yourself that you're adaptable, that you can handle pressure. that you're not here to just exist. You're here to grow, lead, and win. Confidence is earned by keeping promises to yourself. It's built when you say, I'm going to do this, and then you follow through. Not once, not occasionally, daily. It's the repetition of discipline that gives birth to certainty. When you consistently show up, you begin to trust yourself. And when you trust yourself, no opinion, no rejection, no setback can shake your foundation. But here's the part most people don't want to hear. Confidence isn't built in comfort. You don't grow by hiding from life. You grow by leaning into challenge. You grow by making mistakes, learning from them, and getting back up sharper and hungrier. Confidence doesn't come from a motivational quote. It comes from you proving to yourself over and over again that you can handle what life throws at you. If you keep waiting until you feel confident before you act, you'll be waiting forever. You'll watch people with less talent than you, less knowledge than you, and less potential than you pass you by. Because they had the courage to start while you were still doubting. Confidence isn't about being the loudest person in the room. It's about being unapologetically certain of your place in it. That certainty only comes from doing the work day after day when no one's watching, when no one's clapping, and when everything inside you wants to quit. You build confidence every time you do what's hard. You build it when you push through fear. You build it when you face criticism and don't let it define you. You build it when you say, I'm not where I want to be, but I'm not staying where I am either. So stop waiting for permission. Stop waiting for the perfect moment. Start where you are. Build the skill of confidence like your life depends on it, because it does. The world doesn't reward the most qualified. It rewards the most certain, and that's certainty. It's built, not given. Every time you allow disrespect, you teach people that it's okay. Every time you stay silent when someone crosses a line, you show them that line doesn't really exist. And every time you tolerate less than you deserve, you reinforce a standard that says, this is acceptable, whether you realize it or not. You're constantly teaching people how to treat you, not with your words, but with your behavior, your reactions, and your boundaries, or lack of them. This world doesn't give you what you want. It gives you what you demand. If you let others walk all over you, don't act surprised when they keep doing it. If you constantly excuse bad behavior because you're afraid of being alone, don't be shocked when you end up surrounded by people who take advantage of you. It's not about being a bad person or unlucky. It's about what you tolerate. And the truth is, people push as far as you let them. It's human nature. Your silence, your forgiveness without change. It's okay. When it's not, it all sends a message. A message that says your comfort doesn't matter. A message that says others can cross your boundaries without consequence. You might think you're being the bigger person by brushing it off. But what you're actually doing is giving permission for the cycle to continue. No one respects someone who doesn't respect themselves. If you allow people to speak to you with disrespect, if you let them take advantage of your time, your loyalty, your energy, they'll keep doing it. Why wouldn't they? You've shown them it comes with no cost. You've trained them to believe there are no consequences. And that's on you. But the power to shift everything lies in your hands. You don't need to beg for respect. You set the standard and enforce it. That's how real respect is earned, not with desperation, not with fear, but with clarity and consistency. You set the rules for your life, and the moment someone breaks them, you make a decision, tolerate it, and teach them it's okay, or stand firm and teach them it's not. Standing firm doesn't require drama. You don't have to yell, argue, or prove your worth. You just need to stop giving access to people who abuse it. Cut it off. Walk away. Make it clear that your boundaries are non-negotiable. People will adjust or they'll exit. Either way, you win, because those who truly value you will rise to meet your standards. The rest were never meant to stay. You don't need to be cruel. You need to be unshakable. Being kind doesn't mean being spendless. Being forgiving doesn't mean being blind. If someone shows you who they are, believe them, then act accordingly. The most powerful people in the world aren't the loudest. They're the ones with standards so high. They don't flinch when someone tries to lower them. Remember this: every time you tolerate something that disrespects you, you delay your growth. You slow down your potential. You sabotage your self-respect. So raise the bar, speak with intention, move with certainty, and stop making room for people who don't deserve a seat at your table. You don't get what you wish for. You get what you allow. Teach people how to treat you, not through your words, but through your actions, your standards, and your silence in the right moments. Because when you stop tolerating disrespect, everything changes, and it starts with you. There's something about strength, confidence, and self-belief that makes insecure people uncomfortable. When you walk into a room with presence, when you speak with clarity, when your actions show you know your worth, it threatens those who haven't built that within themselves. And instead of rising to your level, they'll try to pull you down to theirs. That's how weak people operate. They can't stand to see someone burn brighter, so they'll do everything they can to dim your fire. They'll question your goals, mock your ambition, downplay your wins, and throw shade when you're not around. Not because there's anything wrong with you, but because your fire reminds them of everything they haven't become. Your energy exposes their laziness. Your growth shows them their stagnation. Your courage forces them to confront their own fear, and that's something most people don't want to deal with. So instead of leveling up, they'll try to drag you back. But here's the truth: they don't win unless you let them. Your fire is yours. No one gave it to you, and no one has the right to put it out. Let them talk. Let them laugh. Let them call you too much, too loud, too intense. That's what they do when they can't control you. That's what they say when they don't understand how you keep rising despite everything thrown at you. You have to understand that shining isn't arrogance. It's alignment. When you know who you are, when you're focused, disciplined, and hungry for more, you become a different breed. And not everyone is ready for that. Most people settle. Most people give up. Most people play small because it's safe. And when you step out of that cage, they'll try to convince you it's better inside. Don't listen. Don't shrink. Don't apologize. Weak people will try to make you feel guilty for wanting more, for demanding better, for refusing to accept the bare minimum. They'll call you selfish. They'll say you've changed. Good, you're supposed to. Growth is meant to make people uncomfortable, especially the ones who refuse to grow with you. That's not your problem. That's not your burden to carry. Let them hate. Let them gossip. Let them misunderstand you. That's none of your business. Your job is to stay lit. Keep showing up. Keep doing the work. Keep pushing boundaries and smashing limits. Because the ones who matter will feel your fire and be inspired by it, not threatened. The right people will never ask you to dim your light so they can shine. They'll rise with you. And anyone who doesn't, let them stay in the shadows. This world doesn't need more quiet, broken, defeated people pretending to be humble while secretly suffocating. It needs warriors, leaders, people willing to step into the fire and own their power. That's who you are. So don't dull yourself to fit into spaces that can't hold you. Don't trade your brilliance for acceptance. And never hand over the flame that took you years to build just because someone else was too scared to light theirs. Your fire is your weapon, your guide, your signal to the world that you are not to be ignored. Protect it, nurture it, and when someone tries to put it out, smile and burn brighter. Too many people have been conditioned to believe that being agreeable, passive, and silent makes you a good person. That going along with everything, never saying no, always putting others first, and tolerating disrespect is somehow a sign of strength or kindness. It's not. It's a trap. And the moment you stop playing that game, the moment you say, enough, people will label you as rude, difficult, arrogant. But that's not your problem, because you're not rude. You're just done being a doormat. People loved you when you had no boundaries. They loved the version of you that bent over backward, that stayed quiet to keep the peace, that sacrificed your own happiness for theirs. But that version of you was exhausted. That version of you was drowning in silent resentment. That version of you wasn't living, it was surviving. And survival isn't the goal. Power is. Control is. Freedom is. So the moment you started speaking up, the moment you stopped explaining yourself, stopped over apologizing, stopped entertaining nonsense, everything changed. You weren't being rude. You were reclaiming your self-respect. You were saying, this is where it ends. And of course it rattled people. Of course it upset those who were benefiting from your silence, because your compliance made their life easier. And now they have to face the reality that you're not theirs to manipulate anymore. Understand this. It's not your job to be liked. It's your job to be respected. And sometimes respect comes at the cost of approval. You're not on this planet to be everyone's favorite. You're here to grow, to evolve, to protect your peace. And that means setting standards that aren't up for negotiation. That means calling out bullshit when you see it. That means walking away when people show you they don't value your time, energy, or loyalty. They'll say you've changed. You have. You had to. Growth doesn't happen in comfort. And if people can't handle the version of you that finally loves and defends yourself, then they were only ever in love with your submission. Let them go. You don't owe anyone the soft version of you that tolerated what broke you. You owe yourself the strength to never go back to that place again. You can be kind without being weak. You can be compassionate without being controlled. You can help people without being used. The difference is boundaries. And when you finally start living with them, everything shifts. Your circle tightens. The noise fades. And what's left is real power. The kind that doesn't beg, doesn't chase, doesn't fold under pressure. So when they call you rude for standing your ground, wear it like armor. Let it remind you that you've stepped into your power, that you've stopped asking for permission to live on your own terms. But let them talk. Because the more you enforce your standards, the louder they'll get. But don't flinch. Don't explain, don't go back. You were never created to be a doormat. You were never meant to be walked on, silenced, ignored, or broken down just to make others comfortable. You were meant to rise, to lead, to set the tone, not follow it. So stand tall, speak your truth, and never again apologize for doing what's right for you. That's not rudeness. That's power.